Imagine a place where time slows down and nature becomes the ultimate preserver. What would happen to a human body buried in a salt mine? In a world of established burial traditions, there's always room for the unusual. We're used to earth, fire, or water as a final resting place. But what if we looked at it differently? Imagine a burial where nature itself takes over as guardian, using one of the oldest and most effective preservatives, salt. Since ancient times, people have known about the amazing properties of salt. It doesn't just make food tastier, it can stop time for organic materials, preventing decay. Think about how our ancestors salted meat or fish to preserve them for months. This isn't just a cooking trick, it's a deep understanding of natural chemistry. Salt draws out moisture, depriving bacteria and microorganisms of their life source, thus halting decomposition. That's what makes it so interesting for our thought experiment, exploring a scientific concept where natural conditions can completely alter the course of what we expect. Did you know that inside a salt mine, conditions exist that can completely change the usual processes of nature? Forget the surface world with its changing climate. A salt mine is a unique, natural laboratory with incredibly stable conditions. Deep underground, the temperature remains almost constant, usually around 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 to 20 degrees Celsius, eliminating destructive freeze-thaw cycles. But the key factor is humidity. Salt, as a powerful hygroscopic material, actively absorbs water, creating an extremely dry atmosphere in the mine. This is deadly for most microorganisms because they can't survive without moisture. Furthermore, the depths of mines often have a lack of oxygen, the main oxidizer that feeds decomposition. Combined with the natural sterility of high salt concentrations, which are hostile to bacteria and fungi, we have the ideal environment. These factors together turn a salt mine into a kind of natural preservative, where the usual rules of decay operate very differently. Here's what usually happens. When a human body is exposed to ordinary conditions, a complex and inevitable process of decomposition begins. Let's take a look. When a person dies, their body immediately begins a complex chain of changes. First comes autolysis, the self-digestion of cells by their own enzymes. Then, billions of bacteria living inside us and in the environment take over. They start actively breaking down organic matter, initiating the process of putrefaction or decay. This process is accompanied by the formation of gases, which leads to bloating. Tissues change color, soften, and gradually break down. The speed of decomposition depends critically on external conditions. High temperature and humidity accelerate it, while low temperature slows it down. Oxygen, insects, and other animals also play a role. In ordinary conditions, whether in soil or water, the body eventually turns into a skeleton, and then even the bones are destroyed. This is the basic natural cycle we're used to seeing. Thousands of years ago, long before refrigerators, ancient civilizations already knew the secret of preserving life after death. Their mummies, which have come down to us through the ages, owe their existence not only to complex rituals, but also to a simple but powerful mineral, salt. The history of using salt to preserve bodies goes back to ancient times. The most famous example is ancient Egypt, where natron, a mixture of soda and salt, was actively used for mummification. Natron effectively drew moisture from tissues, preventing decay. Even more illustrative are the findings of the Salt Men in Iran, ancient miners whose bodies, killed in salt mines, were remarkably well preserved, thanks to the unique conditions of the mine and the high salt content, turning them into natural mummies. And water is critical for all microorganisms responsible for decomposition. Deprived of moisture, bacteria and fungi cannot grow and do their destructive work. In addition, a high concentration of salt creates an environment unfavorable for the growth of most pathogens, acting as an effective antiseptic. This double whammy, dehydration and antiseptic action, makes salt an ideal natural preservative, capable of stopping decay for a very long time. The human body is 60% water, the ideal environment for decomposition. But what if the power of salt could draw out almost all of this moisture, turning ordinary remains into something amazing and preserving them for thousands of years? So what will happen when a human body ends up in the embrace of a salt mine? It's not just a slowing of decomposition, but a radical change. The main player here is the process of dehydration. Salt, with its powerful hygroscopic properties, literally begins to draw out all the moisture from the body's tissues. This is similar to how fruits are dried or meat is cured. Water leaves, and with it disappears the environment necessary for the life of bacteria and fungi responsible for decay. Gradually, day after day, the body dehydrates. The skin and soft tissues begin to dry out, condense, and harden, acquiring a mummified appearance. Internal organs also lose moisture, decrease in volume, and can turn into dry, dense structures. The lack of oxygen in the mine prevents oxidation processes, and a stable temperature eliminates temperature fluctuations that usually accelerate destruction. As a result, instead of the usual decomposition, the body can go through a process of natural mummification, preserving its shape and even some features for centuries, or perhaps even millennia. This is an amazing example of how nature, using its unique properties, can become the most effective guardian. Imagine death ceasing to be a final disappearance. But are we ready to accept such a reality when scientific possibility clashes with deep, ethical, legal, and even philosophical questions? We've looked at the amazing possibility of natural mummification in a salt mine. But how realistic is this for the modern world? Here, science faces a number of complex questions. Practically speaking, organizing such a burial would require unprecedented permissions and complex logistics. Salt mines are industrial facilities or protected areas not intended for burials. Legally, most countries have strict burial laws governing places and methods. A burial in a mine would most likely be considered illegal. The ethical aspect is no less important. Society values respect for the body of the deceased and traditions. Such an unconventional burial may cause rejection, contradicting religious or cultural norms. However, from a scientific point of view, this is a unique experiment, allowing us to study the processes of preservation in extreme conditions. Perhaps, in the distant future, with changing views, such methods will become part of burial practices. For now, it remains a fascinating hypothesis at the intersection of science and imagination. Mysteries like the secrets of salt mines are just part of the vast world of the unknown. If you're ready to delve into the deepest mysteries of the spirit and uncover amazing facts, subscribe to our channel and like this video. Together, we'll continue to explore the boundaries of what's possible.